I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's Ag Forecast for South America, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. I always think it's a good exercise to just go back and verify why we use the models we use. And so what I want to do is on the left show you the previous week in terms of satellite dry precipitation. On the right, this was the forecast. And we're looking at anomalies on the right, but it gives us a sense of the pattern here. What was anticipated was much above average precipitation through parts of Argentina, and then from Paraguay to Uruguay, and then the southern kind of ag belt here of Brazil from Mato Grosso do Sul down to Paraná. We were anticipating drier conditions in eastern Brazil, and then closer to normal, but still a drier bias through Mato Grosso. Now we look over here at the verification. The model did an excellent job at finding the drier conditions in eastern Brazil, including the very wet corridor from Mato Grosso down to Paraná. Precipitation satellite derived. Now remember, this is primarily done with infrared temperatures, but there are precipitation radars that are going to this product as well. We do see a large region in through here, and I've seen some video support of this as well, and also have checked in on some of the data that comes through the gauges that are from the Argentinian Meteorological Service. So there have been some pockets here of very heavy rainfall. Now, just thinking about that, this is an area that I'm going to be most concerned about going through the next month. I'll show you why in just a few moments. But to the north, this is borderline normal monsoonal rainfall. You do see a lot of pockets of the 2 to 3 inch range in through here, but some places were missed in the last week. Okay, model verification out of the way. Where we're going over the next 5 days, we still see a couple more rounds of storms through parts of Argentina, but very heavy rainfall still right through that same corridor. What's going to happen, though, is as this frontal boundary moves to the north, we're going to start to fill in with rain some places that have been quite dry, and possibly bring another inch just over the next 5 days to Mato Grosso, which is going very quickly through their harvest time period right now. So what's going to happen is that by the time we get into this Friday, see this low sitting off the coast? Its front will be stretched right in through here and push up against the monsoonal flow coming, of course, from this direction. But behind it, the higher atmospheric pressure that moves in here begins what's going to be a relatively drier next week plus. So when we look out here past the end of this week, I expect for southern Brazil and Argentina to go over to a much drier pattern. You can see here as we look from the day 4 through day 10 time period. So that week in there, you can see the frontal boundary pushing up against the monsoon. So now we bring in the much heavier precipitation into this area, and we're very dry compared to normal to the south of there. But the big question is, how long does that last? And do we get another round of good precipitation moving through here? Well, we've been looking at all of the teleconnections, blending them together, and I'm going to come back to the narrative I had last week, which was it's not necessarily constructively adding to give us a definite answer to this. So what I want to show you is that behind that front, first of all, we are not anticipating major heat stress. See that? Out ahead of it, before the rains come back, it will be very warm in this area, but then we do anticipate, going out there over that time period for temperatures to back off as the rain moves back in, but no really hot air coming in behind that front. So looking now exclusively at week 2, we've watched the models trend drier in this area. Now we've got a bit of that extension coming up into Mato Grosso do Sul and into southern Mato Grosso. But I do want to emphasize that when we look at this, the models, there's a lot of spread, and they're favoring just on this side of dry. So we're going to have to watch this carefully, especially because the newest long-range outlooks from February 11th through March 11th want to continue to keep a large section of Argentina, Uruguay, and then getting into Rio Grande do Sul drier. Now, the European model is the outlier. It's the only long-range model that's got this region dry like this going through the month of February and then getting into early March with the wetter conditions or more normal monsoonal moisture to the north. Other global models are drier to the north and wetter to the south. And again, we have a La Nina that kind of backed off. It's got one more big push to it, it seems, coming up throughout the next probably 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks. And if the La Nina push that is coming, in other words, the reinvigoration of some of those trade winds, this would be a pattern that I would anticipate. This is a very La Nina look to the moisture in February and March. So we've got to watch this carefully. And even though we just had the heaviest rains right in through this area, if it does go over dry, this would be a critical time period for it to be too dry. So we'll watch this and report back to you again on Thursday. Thanks so much for your attention. We'll talk to you then. Thanks.